Welcome back to the channel. I want to thank you for hitting that play button today. If you're stopping in for the very first time, my name is Chuck. Here on this channel, I try to give you words of encouragement, try to give you things, food for thought, and every now and then dabble around in money and kind of what's going on in the crazy world we're living in right now. But that's one thing I do today. I want to talk about this. I want to talk about money. Money impacts everyone. Doesn't matter who you are, doesn't matter where you're at. This right here, I'm going to tell you right now, will not bring you happiness. But what it does is it can make life a little bit easier. But if your mind and your head isn't right, your heart isn't right, then that can actually make your life a lot worse if you have too much of it. And so what I want to talk about is the system that we're in. And that's exactly what we are in. We are in a system. If you don't think you're not in a system, go down to a bank and open up an account. They want to know your birth. They want to know everything. They want to know your social security number. They want to know where you work. They want to know how much you make. They want to know all this stuff. They put it on file. They send it to the government, and then you're giving the permission to get into their system. And you can put money into it, and then that's where banks begin to make fees and all kinds of other things. They if you put any amount of money in here, they'll hound you all the time about we got this CD, or we've got these investments, or we've got these whatever, this product that can help you make money if it's just going to sit here. And one thing about money is this dollar doesn't mean anything, or this money right here, this $2,000 worth of 20s doesn't mean anything unless I spend it. But how hard was it to make this? Well, for some people it's easy to make, other people it's harder to make. Depends on where you work, what you do for a living, how you invest, if you did invest or if you do invest. But you have to understand that a $20 bill, it actually took you to do more to actually earn that $20 bill than just getting the $20. So you get up today, you're heading off to work, maybe you're driving right now to work, and let's just, for the sake of the video, let's just say that you make $20 an hour, and you're gonna work 8 hours. So today you're gonna make $160. Well, you didn't make $160. You're gonna make almost 50% of that. You may say, "Whoa, Chuck, we don't pay 50% in taxes, man." Yeah, you do. You only get to spend about 50 cents out of every dollar that you physically actually make. Because you got to stop and think. This particular money, when you make it a $20 bill, let's just take out a $20 bill. It's 20. I had to work a lot. I didn't go somewhere and work and they gave me a $20 bill. This $20 bill, if that's what I made per hour, and I only worked 1 hour in a pay period, and they issued me a check for the gross of $20, well, there's taxes that are going to be taken out of this. Your federal tax, if you live in a state that has a state tax. Well, Chuck, I don't live in a state tax. I don't have to pay a state tax. Well, let me just tell you, my friend, the state recoups the money in another way, and a lot of times it's within higher property taxes. And you may say, "Chuck, I don't own a home, so I don't have to take property taxes." Well, you pay rent. And believe me, taxes are built into the cost of your rent. So we all are paying property tax. Whether you own a home or you rent a home or you lease a home or you do whatever, all of it's built into the payment of you paying the taxes. And a lot of people say, "Well, when I'm going to own my own home, I won't have to, I'll own it." You do own the home, but you don't own the property. What do you mean by that? What I mean is every year you're going to be assessed a property tax. And so you're going to pay taxes. Here on my home, it's about $3,200 a year. That's relatively cheap compared to some places out there. My brother-in-law who lives down in Texas, his is almost double of what I pay here. If you live in I've seen as much of houses that are smaller than mine. If you live up in the New York area, some of those people pay $13,000 to $15,000 for a house about the size of mine in property taxes. And so not only do you have to pay taxes on the front end, not only does the government take their cut, the state takes its cut out of this, But when you get it and it's finally in your hands, you look down at the net of what you made. Well, now when you go actually use this piece of paper, the state now says, hey, we're going to take state tax, sales tax out of it. Your county's going to take a cut of that sales tax. Your city's going to take a cut of that sales tax. And now you're left with what is left. And that's what you get to apply towards what you're actually buying. So you've got a tax rate of, in some cases, depends on, again, taxes depends on loopholes and depends on write-offs and a bunch of other things, but it's been simplified now. But that money that you make, most people take it and most people have a direct deposit. There's a lot of people that never see this because they use a debit card, they use a credit card, they, you do online bill pay, all that stuff happens. So there's not a whole lot of money that's actually circulating within their system. But what you have to understand is the system is designed to keep you in debt. Slavery ended a long time ago. And I'm not talking about the slavery of people being sold from one person to another, that you didn't have rights and that you couldn't be free. You're not free today. We're not free today if you're in their system. So you have to understand the borrower is slave to the lender. When you owe someone money, when you owe a bank money, you are their slave. You work to pay off a debt. And there's a lot of people that, every 3 years they go down and buy a new car on credit. You got people that, they live in houses and they hop around. Here in Oklahoma, it's crazy. People will literally sell a house and move like 2 blocks away to another house. And I understand that, but they only lived in that house for like 4 years. And I mean, you'll find people in my neighborhood, it's just amazing how many people have moved just in the houses that I can visibly see. Some people move because their job takes them somewhere, but a lot of the people that I talk to, it's just they're moving because they want to move into a different neighborhood because they have a different HOA, or I'm moving to another neighborhood because, for whatever reason, we're upsizing, we're downsizing, we're doing whatever. And so you've got a lot that goes into that, and they're doing it all, most people, through financing. Maybe they take a little bit of the equity they have in their home and they apply it to the next house, which is even more money, and you're just in this entire cycle. And, whether it's people going out, you're buying clothes, you're buying whatever it is that you're buying, you're using money. And a lot of people in America and a lot of companies in America are using debt. And so whenever you live a lifestyle where you're just totally in debt with all this stuff, then you are a slave. If you want, just don't sugarcoat it. That's exactly what you are. You don't own your money. You go out and you collect these to give to someone else so that you have this stuff. And so right now what's happening is a lot of people are starting to look at this and wake up and say, you know what, I went out of this system. I went off the merry-go-round. I went off of this roller coaster because it's up, it's down, it's crazy. We have the stock market right now, which is plain, you got to stop and think, in the stock market, you have the stock market, you have the bond market. The bond market is like this big. Stock market is like this big in the scope of both the stock and the bond markets, if you've ever heard of that. And so what we have is we have our Fed, which is a different entity of the government, but it's a Fed that was created by the government to basically set forth policy on monetary things. It can impact interest rates, it can print money, it can buy bonds, but what it can is it can't go down and buy stocks. And so you have the big brother, which are bonds, and then you have the little brother, which is the stock market. And the stock market is created for companies to be able to go out and raise capital to build more stores, to do whatever. And so we as investors, we as the people, take our money because we understand that money, when it just sits here, it actually is a depreciating asset in itself, this $20 bill goes down in time and value of what you can pay, what you can buy with it. But there are some things that really don't change a whole lot. You know, you got to stop and think, if you've purchased a car in the last 3 years or 4 years, or you've even looked at prices of cars, they're astronomical of what they cost 10 years ago. And they want to say it's because of technology. They want to say it's because they're safer, they ride better, they do all these things. And yes, cars have changed a lot. But I'm telling you right now, they're ridiculous on what they cost. And so what are people having to do? Most people don't buy cars with cash, they buy it with credit. And so they're going down to banks, they're buying these cars, and now they're on a 5 or 6, or I'm even seeing 84 months where they're locked in to this car. The moment you drive it off of the showroom floor, it depreciates 20%. And the car is going to do, most of it's depreciating within the first 3 years that you own it. So you bought some at 50, and in 3 years the thing's worth 20. Where you know, it's just going to nosedive depending on what kind of car it is, and that's the vast majority of cars. Even if you buy something as great as a Corvette, which I've owned 3 of them, I mean, when you drive off and you took off, you dropped some cash behind you. But we kind of all understand that. Versus a home, when you buy a home, that's an asset that actually rises in value. Anything with a motor, going down in value. Anything that's a fixed asset like a home typically goes up in value. Now, is it very volatile? Does it go up and down? Yes. Homes can make money, homes can lose money, but for the most part, it's a very small and steady investment like a bond is. And so what the Fed is doing is it's pumping a lot of money into the bond market because it can't go down and buy Tesla stock. It can't go down and buy these things. But what it can do is it can go in and push a lot of money into the bond market, which then impacts the stock market. And that's why you have companies like Delta who came out just a couple of days ago and they said they lost over $5 billion in the second quarter. How does a company survive? It's losing $5 billion in a quarter. You have a lot of, in the S&P 500, which are the 500 most traded companies in the U.S., that entire bond, or that entire stock market, part of the stock market, the S&P 500, is only made, it's influenced by like 10 companies. Walmart and Amazon and Google and those type of companies. And so they're doing great within a pandemic. It's amazing if you look at the companies that are doing great and the companies that aren't. The companies that are doing great are these huge conglomerates. The people, the ones who are hurting are your everyday mom and pop places because they're being shut down. They're saying that, hey, people can't come in and spend money with you. We're locking you down if you cut hair. We're locking you down if you're a bar owner. We're locking you down, if you are a movie theater or whatever it is. And so the biggest thing with money right now, and what banks don't want you to know, they don't want you coming down taking this. Because when you take this out of the system, they can't control it. Because don't kid yourself if you don't think that we're not headed to a one world system. That if we're not headed towards a cashless society. We see that in commercials. If you've ever seen any of the commercials, there was a real commercial maybe a year ago where it showed a bunch of people coming to a coffee place and they were all just boop, boop, boop. They're paying with it. And all of a sudden some dudes or some lady, she's got a $20 bill and she puts it down and it's like, everything slows down. And the guy looks at her and looks down at the money and takes it and gives her the change back. And then the other people start coming through with their credit debit card. Boop, 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 and everything's moving. And so it's kind of like they're saying, don't use cash, use your credit. Use your debit card. And the thing is, if you've ever had an app, if you've ever had money, you've had it wired in. It's amazing how this money just floats through the air right into your bank account. Just comes out of nowhere. Your company presses a button, it sends it to your bank account. And you wake up on Fridays and you pull up your app and you look online and there's your money. Wow, automatically deposit. You don't even worry about it. It's coming in there. If money can just go in, money can just go out. From the standpoint of, you say, well, not just anybody can take my money. Well, go look at what happened this past weekend in Arizona, and Bank of America's People were waking up on Sunday morning, going there checking their account, and money was gone. Because their unemployment, the Security Commission's unemployment said, oh, we've issued too much money or we've done this. And they just started pulling money out of people's accounts. No warning, no nothing. And the thing is if when we get to being a one world system and we get to the point where money is digital, that means that the government can issue things like stimulus checks. You probably received one of those. PPP money if you're a small business owner. You maybe if you are fortunate enough to get any of that. It's amazing how that's really went to the pockets of the rich. But let's say they could say, hey, we're going to send you money, but you have to use it for food. You have to use it for gas in your car. You have to use it for, whatever the stipulations they want to put on it. And if you tried to take that card, or you tried to take your debit card, which is tied to the money, or a credit card, however they want to issue the money, and you went down and you tried to buy a gun, and you swipe it and it says denied. Well, but I've got $1,500 in my bank. No, that digital money has now been earmarked on what it can be used for. And so therefore they can control what you spend your money on. If they want to put a lockdown on guns and they said no one can buy ammunition, they could be able to press a button and all the digital money in the world, no money can touch that. It can't buy that. But you know what would be able to buy that? This. Because you know what? They can't control this. They can't control you if you have this. That's why they want to take this from you in debt, in you working and not stockpiling this. And so that's why I want to highly encourage you, if you have funds, if you have money in your bank account, maybe a savings account, maybe whatever, I want to just encourage you, if you can. You may not be able to. Get you a safe, do whatever, become your own central bank. Have your money at the house, pay cash for things, and if you need to pay for things online, you need to do for whatever, put some money into the account. But only you put in what you want to put into it, and then use it to your benefit. Don't have a bunch of this stocked up in a bank that they're using to do whatever with. And if something goes south, you can't go get this. Yes, is it federally insured up to $250,000 per account by FDIC? Yes. But can you imagine how long it's going to take you to get that money if your bank fails tomorrow? The amount of people that are going to be filing claims to the federal government. You already know how slow the federal government is to get anything done. They don't get anything done fast, except for take their recesses and take their breaks. And so I would highly implore you to take as much of this out of your accounts as you possibly can. Become your own central bank. If you have retirement accounts in the stock market, or you have retirement accounts in the stock market, let them ride, because you don't want to be penalized unless you're almost at that age of, retirement. You want to start trying to get that stuff out, as much of it out of the system as you can. Because we got the stock market in 2 days has went up 900 points because some company said, hey, we're seeing positive signs in our virus vaccines trials out of 40 people. So the stock market goes up 900 points, which equates to just hundreds of billions of dollars of just poof. But when things go south, it's going to head down. And I think the roller coaster, if you go look at the stock market in 1929, when it had its first major heart attack, right when the Depression of 1929 was happening, and you see how it goes down and how it starts immediately coming straight back up. If you look at the chart from then and you look at the chart from today, it's almost the same. It's following almost the same pattern, because the Fed is doing the same tactics that it did then, and how it's controlling liquidity, how it's controlling the bond market, which is then controlling different things. Allow your eyes to tell you what's going on. Not just what you hear on CNN, what you hear on Fox News, what you hear. Allow things. That's why it's so awesome, and I love the fact that we can be here on YouTube together, and you can be in Florida, and I can be in Tulsa, and someone else can be up in Virginia, someone can be in the state of Washington, someone can be in Nebraska, and we can be a small community, and down in the comments, we share what's happening in our area. And that allows us to communicate with one another. Forget this whole Facebook and Twitter and all that. Half that crap that's on there, please, it isn't even real. There's so many of these accounts that are foreign accounts, and you think it's someone here locally. It's not. It's some dude over in Asia typing this junk in here, trying to get people to believe certain things. And your friends on Facebook, most of them, they were snapping pictures of their, new cars and houses and their, the expensive watches, and you don't even see those pictures hardly anymore. Why? Because they don't have any money. But cash truly is king. And guys, I know this video is a lot longer than what I anticipated it being, but I just felt like on my heart today is to let you know banks want to hold on to your money. And it's time for you to be your own bank. It's time for you to have your own funds, because I'm going to tell you what, a lot of people say, Chuck, I'm worried about a fire. I'm worried about this. My friend, you need to be worried about your money being hijacked right up out of your account by a bank failing and you taking forever to get your money, versus the chances of your house burning down, someone robbing you, someone coming up in your house. If you got a gun, at least you can protect it. You can't protect something that's in someone else's house. You can't protect what's in that bank. So guys, until I see you tomorrow, I hope you have a blessed rest of your day. Again, just something to think about. I love each and every one of you, and we'll see you tomorrow.